Joe Burrow on fire at Bengals training camp. We'll talk about this coming up on the Wincinnati podcast.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I'm Ace, he's Zim. This podcast is brought to you by BetUS, where the games begin. Zim, Joey B's been dotting it up at practice. What are your thoughts on how things have gone thus far this offseason and what we've seen with everything revving up through training camp?
It is insane. I think a lot of people told us in the offseason that, Joe wasn't going to be the same. They said his wrist was going to be messed up. They told us like all these different things about how, like the Bengals just wouldn't be the same. And I've yet to hear a op tell us a legit strategy to beat Joe Burrow. The only thing that I always hear is Joe Burrow is going to be injured and he won't be able to have his weapons. And there's no scenario in life that Joe Burrow isn't going to have weapons. Bengals always have wide receivers. And I tweeted this the other day. It's like Joe Burrow is the MVP of the Bengals camp. I know I don't have like a random hot take player or something like that, but he's the best player at our camp. He's yet to throw an interception in the 11 on 11s. He's only even thrown one interception, and that was 7 on 7s, and that was like a couple of days ago. But he's on fire. He's on fire.
Nah, for sure. That's one of the topics that we'll talk about is Joe Burrow and how on fire he is. Chase Brown, is he RB1? It's been a little bit of a controversy, especially based on what we've seen thus far in training camp. We'll talk about Bengals, Madden 25 ratings. We'll talk about in-divisional trade rumors. Brandon Aiyuk to the Steelers, is that happening? We'll discuss that and our thoughts on it and whether it even matters. Preseason NFL rankings, there's several of those rankings out here, so we will take those that we have seen and break those down. Trent Brown was also cleared to return to practice, so we'll definitely talk about that as well. And then we'll talk about, as Zim alluded to, Joey B being on fire, all coming up next. All right, so Chase Brown RB1, Orlando Brown was quoted as saying that if he could play fantasy football, his running back would be Chase Brown. He feels like he's going to be a special player, feels like he would do a lot of stuff there. Also, Chase Brown is also getting majority of the first team reps in camp. It seems like Zach Brown is not working with the first unit as much. We talked about this on the show, bro. Chase Brown seems to be trending up in that direction. What are your thoughts on Chase Brown, being that he's kind of emerging here in camp?
I mean, we talked about this beforehand as far as like, what's the running back situation looking like? In my mind, I never thought Chase Brown was going to be like RB1. I just thought he would like split carries and, like kind of be in that Geo role. But man, I mean, he's getting the alley-oop from Orlando Brown. You watching the tape at camp. I mean, he's running in between he's running in between the tackles. He's doing all these different things. And I'm like, damn, like this dude is really stepping it up. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's almost time for him to just go ahead and just do his thing. You know what I mean?
Nah, I feel you, bro. Like I was thinking this would like be a over the season thing. So I didn't expect this either. I didn't expect, day one, he's getting majority of the team reps. I was shocked to actually hear that because I thought, it has kind of been advertised that Zach Moss is that guy. He's coming in, But now that I think about it, it kind of makes sense because I've always felt like Chase Brown fits the offense just a little better just because he's more of a pass receiving kind of running back. So it'll be interesting to see that pass blocking standpoint, though. I don't know what he's kind of proven in that area, so that remains to be seen. But with Zach Moss being a guy that has come from committee type backfields, it's not too surprising because, Zach Moss wasn't a starter. He came in as a replacement for the starter and essentially has kind of been in that role for the most part. So I don't think Zach Moss would really complain. And I think that he provides a guy that will just take some of that workload off of Chase Brown so that he doesn't get beat up. Because as we've kind of talked about in the past, Chase Brown, even though in college he's taken, huge workloads, you don't want to see that happen in the NFL just because it's hard for a small back to kind of command those kind of reps and carries and still do his thing. So I think it's interesting to see that this is the way that the Chase Brown thing is kind of going. We kind of teased it a little bit. Joey B doing his thing in practice. I got a couple of clips for us to watch on that. So Joey B has, as you have stated, he's been tearing up camp. I even forgot that he's even coming back for an injury. On the first drive today of 11 on 11s, he was 9 of 13 with a touchdown. He's just been on point. He's revving it up. It seems like this weekend, the past couple of days, he's doing his thing. He's looking like a guy that is ready for this upcoming season. I know you had posted earlier in the chat that the Bengals their Super Bowl odds have changed. Do you think it's because a lot of people are noticing what's happening in that camp with Joey B?
I don't know what. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I don't know why that changed up like that. I really don't know. Like, it's insane when I think about it. I'm like, why the hell? Like, I don't know. I just don't know. That's a good question. Maybe it has something to do with health. I haven't looked at like some of the other teams. I know that it put us slightly ahead of the Texans. It moved, like when I was sending that to the chat, it moved us ahead of two different teams just randomly. And I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's Joe Burrow, like them seeing him throw a pass 60 yards down the field. I don't know if that's much to do with the Bengals or is it the other teams, like maybe their health dropped off. I had to like look into it a little bit more.
Nah, for sure. I mean, I think Joey B, he's looking like a guy with a chip on his shoulder. We kind of talked the last show. For the most part, he's been counted out by a lot of his peers. So I think a lot of people kind of forget whenever players get hurt and stuff like that. It happened to Joey B his first season. People tend to forget, how great this guy is. But speaking about how great people are, let's talk about BetUS. Shout out to them for sponsoring the show. They have all the needs, the odds that you need for this upcoming NFL season. You get 125% signing bonus up to $2,000. It's a fast and easy withdrawal process, so you don't have to wait for your earnings that you make. You have live wagering on all major games, and we have a link in the description, so shout out to them. We also have a pretty cool commercial featuring Mike Vick, so we'll go ahead and play that now.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
All right, so once again, shout out to BetUS. We appreciate them for keeping the lights on. Another big thing that happened, Trent Brown was cleared. The Bengals announced it on Twitter. He has returned to practice. He was on the rehab field, but he's back at practice. Seems like he's passed the conditioning test. No limitations, at least for now, that we're expecting from an injury standpoint. Trent Brown, like, what does this mean, bro? Because in his absence, Mims has kind of been doing his thing. So I've seen some people say, like, could that push him to left guard possibly? Is he going to be at right tackle with the emergence of Mims? I want to hear what your thoughts are just on that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been big pro Trent Brown. I think Amari is, stepping up in his absence has been like an eye opener for me. It's not that I think that Amarius is an upgrade over what we've had, like no matter what. I do think that Trent Brown now, like, I mean, we're like 5 Sundays away from like week 1. So like Trent Brown is now behind the 8 ball. So all this time in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, Trent Brown is going to be out there getting these reps. And then, like, I just want to see Amarius, like, even preseason wise, I was like, let me just, like, if he goes out there, I want them to let him play a whole game. Like, part of the conversation was, like, can he stay healthy and all these different things like that. He's gone through camp. He left one day, like, I think it was just cramps and dehydration. That's nothing. But, like, to me, it was more so letting him get the reps, saying, can he stay healthy all this time? And now that he's been out there every single day, even like today, like giving Miles Murphy the blues and it's 93 degrees and he's like doing all these things, I feel like he's in the driver's seat. I feel like Trent Brown will have to come out there now and get himself in football shape, get condition. I feel like he's behind the 8 ball. Before I thought that Trent Brown might be looking at the situation and saying, there's no way I'm giving up my job to some rookie. But I think now learning more about Trent Brown, the horses and all these different things behind the scenes and starting to like learn a little bit more about his personality, I don't think that he would be mad if Amarius Mims is starting. I really don't, because I think he understands that he just wasn't available. If they had came out there at the same time, even if Amarius had looked better, I think he might have felt a certain type of way based off of what we've known, when he was with the Patriots and some of the quotes that he had there where he was just like, yeah, I'm going to test the free agents markets. And a lot of people were just like, oh, I don't know about that guy. If you ask a Patriot fan, they're not like big fans of him.
Right.
And now that I'm learning more about him, I'm like, I really feel like he kind of got a bad rap in some of those spots. It's a lot we don't know yet.
Right.
But I think because he was hurt, I don't think that he would be opposed to Amarius like starting off the season. And even if they do that, I still think that they got 5 weeks to go and get Trent Brown in like jumbo sets and jumbo formations or figure out something to utilize that strength. Like to have an extra offensive lineman, I almost of that stature. I almost look at it like just having like a whole nother weapon. Like imagine if you just signed like a brand new running back that was like super fast. You would figure out a way to get him out on the field. And I look at Trent Brown the same way. It's like they need to figure out some way to get him out on the field. But I think at Amarius Mims, it would take a lot to unseat him now. He's done all those reps. He's been there all this time. He's so far ahead of Trent Brown that I just, I just think Amarius is the starter. Trent Brown, even though he was clear today, he was just out there on the rehab field. He still wasn't in pads. So
right. No, I agree with that. I think he's behind the 8 ball for sure. It'll be interesting to see if he even plays this upcoming Sunday in that first game. I think Trent Brown, though, like I don't know what was discussed with him when he came in, especially with him taking the discount. Like I don't know if it's like, hey, you're guaranteed this spot, but we want you to groom possibly a young tackle. The only thing I would say about the Mims thing, I don't know if I would let him play the whole preseason game because I kind of panicked just after he, went out. Obviously, it wasn't anything serious. But then when I see a guy like Trent Brown, I know his injury history. So I'm wondering, like, does that mean that we're going to have Jackson Carman at right tackle? So I wouldn't mind if Mims is in there. But I get flashbacks of like Joseph Osai. Like I don't need to see Mims in there in the fourth quarter against future construction workers to expose them to risk. But I think he should play 1 or 2 quarters. I'm good with that. But I think like you're saying, bro, like I think that this is actually a real battle. And I think now Trent Brown has kind of given the advantage to Mims because Mims has been able to get that chemistry. He's worked with the first team. It's going to be interesting because I can't wait to watch Mims go out there. I want to see what it's going to be like against another team for them. But I think he's shown thus far that he's been extremely impressive. He's got the vote of confidence from a lot of people. And, I mean, we haven't heard much from Trent Brown. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out. As far as him playing left guard, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I don't know if Trent Brown has ever played guard, but to have those 3 like monsters of offensive linemen on the team, like possibly there, like I know he can come in jumbo packages, but if he can play left guard, bro, next to Orlando Brown, like let's just run it to the left every single play if that is the case for that. But speaking of Trent Brown, I also pulled up the Bengals 25 Madden ratings, and there's some interesting things here when you go through it. Just some notables that I was able to see from a ratings performance. Jamar Chase is at the top, tied with Joe Burrow. So I guess you could say that they're tied for first. You got Trey Hendrickson, Trent Brown, who is at 88, which I don't know if he was that good on the last game, but he's at 88. And then they got T. Higgins as an 85. Some other notables, though, we kind of talked about Mims, right?
This thing makes no sense.
Yeah, it looks crazy, doesn't it? Like I don't understand
no
it. But Mims actually comes in at a 78, which is pretty high for a rookie. So Mims came in at a 78. The other thing is this: Chris Jenkins, the second round pick, came in at a 74. That's pretty high as well. There's some first rounders that came in with 74.
But the joint was crazy though, because Jenkins had a higher score than Miles Murphy though.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
And did you see DJ Turner posted? You know, they were showing the guys with the highest speed. He was nowhere. I don't know what's DJ Turner's speed.
DJ Turner is the fastest person on the Bengals, but he's a 96 speed. So like, there's guys that are 99, 98.
Well, they got guys that didn't run a faster 40 than him. That's like they got him like at 90. All right, so 96 isn't bad, but they got Worthy as a rookie at like 98.
98, and he just broke the record. So, and I remember they did something similar to John Ross, and I was like, how is John Ross not the fastest?
I don't get this game. Like that, you know, sometimes you message me and ask me, or you were like, even the NFL top 100 or the Madden, when I start to see like a bunch of like bullshit, it makes me not even really care as much. Like once it starts to like, you know what I'm saying, like the Trey Hendrickson stuff, we're starting to break down and like look at the sack numbers. When I start looking at that, and then I don't know if you've seen like Dexter Lawrence's grade. Bro had like 5 sacks and he got like a higher grade than like, you know, Trey Hendrickson on his game.
Right.
And he has like a 90-something area. When I start seeing that over and over again, it makes me be like the validity of it. I think like you're more passionate about it, but I think for me, I just stopped caring because I'm like, I don't really take it that serious. It would be different if it was like somebody I was like, yeah, like I really trust like what they're doing, and then I'm questioning like, how did you get to that? But now I'm now looking at the Madden thing. I'm like, y'all just aren't even paying attention. Like, it can't be
at all. I mean, Jermaine Burton gets a 70. Charlie Jones is a 70. Like, I don't understand how Charlie Jones is a 70, but like Yoshi is a 68, even though Yoshi had like 3 touchdowns last season. Josh Newton comes in as a 69, McKinley Jackson 69. So like, it seems like Cedric Johnson as a 68 was pretty good. The craziest rating for the draft class, Eric All, you got 67.
Cedric Johnson might not even make the team.
Bro, they got Matt Lee as a 62, bro. Matt Lee.
I mean, he's a 7th round pick. None of those really hurt. Like, none of them really kill me. Like, none of them. Because if I looked at the other teams, I'm pretty sure it's like the same. It's the guys at the top to me. The ones at the bottom, not as much. Like Gesicki sounding battle. Like
Evan McPherson.
78 is horrible. That is horrible. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy. That's nuts. McPherson should be at 80, 84, 86.
Yeah.
Minimum.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wilson, 83, not bad. T. Higgins only having 700 yards. I don't agree with the 85. I would have been 88. Trent Brown at an 88, I probably have him at like 84, honestly.
Right.
So like a little lower. So Cantilla Brett at a 79. They're not looking at the games, and that's why it doesn't really frustrate me that much, because I'm like, okay, so you don't know that Cantilla missed, you know, it's almost like the NFL top 100 list. Like, if you're missing games, I guess they're like, we're just going to lower your score.
Yeah, it's like, they clearly aren't, like you said, paying attention to the games. I mean, they finally put Jermaine Pratt in the 80s, but like after he had that crazy season last year, he was like a 78 or something last year. Like, it's cool. Like, it is what it is. It seems like it always happens to the Bengals, but at the end of the day, it's a video game and these ratings change. So if the Bengals want to change the narrative, they can do that. Joe Burrow is a 93. He's the 3rd rated quarterback, but he's about 5 points behind Lamar Jackson. But I think you made a good point about that. Like, it's a video game. So obviously somebody like Lamar Jackson is going to be a cheat code. We've seen that with Mike Vick back in the day. I just don't agree with it being like a 5-point spread. But at the end of the day, Joe got hurt. He's coming back. The fact that he's the third quarterback says a lot because they still have him over guys like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Tua, unlike the NFL top 100 list. Right. So at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah, I kind of get it on that. You know, I don't know if it's part of me that just kind of wants like this villain story of Joe Burrow just to just come out there and just prove everything wrong too, where I don't mind that they, you know, like they don't really. Whereas last year, remember, I was like, nah, I'm the guy. Like, tell like you need to talk to me, like whatever. Now I'm like, cool, let us be the underdogs in all these scenarios. Like Vegas is a person that ain't playing around. You know, like what they say, put your money where your mouth is, right? Right. Vegas got us favored in 14 games. So if anybody think that is sweet, like go ask Vegas what's happening. So, you know, like the people that really matter, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that they know, like Vegas is telling you right now with this Bet US, you know, bet right here too, is like the AFC North odds, like they're not that different from the Ravens. Like, I think they understand like what's at stake. Like the Ravens, always, you know, at the top of the division, I guess, or for the most part, a lot of times at the top of the division. Bengals have equally won the AFC North in a 10-year span as the Ravens. We're not going to go into that deeper, but I think that they understand that coming off of an injury, it would be crazy. I think if Burrow was healthy, I think us and the Ravens will have the same exact odds. I think we'd both be plus 130. But because Burrow's coming off an injury, they have to treat it like that. I think the average NFL fan, you would probably talk, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, the AFC North is tough. I mean, you know, you don't know about the Steelers and the Browns. The Vegas is telling you right there, like, yeah, this is what we think about the Bengals, the Ravens, and all your teams, like straight up." So, like, there's a lot of people that have an opinion, but Vegas isn't going to lose money. And even if they do lose a little bit of money or whatever, they're going to make sure that they make that bet enticing, and they're going to make it realistic. And I think I was listening to like Brown Spaces and stuff the other day, and they were like, it's our division to lose. And they were super delusional. Yeah. And I think the average casual Madden type rating fan that's just going off of last year does not understand how good Joe Burrow is, because they hear so much misinformation about the wide receivers, and Joe Burrow has all these weapons and da-da-da. Joe Burrow has no first-team All-Pros, and he's never had any first-team All-Pros. The Ravens, with the most All-Pros in the AFC, the most Pro Bowlers, failed to do anything that Joe Burrow has ever done. I think that in itself, people could try to ignore that all they want, and you could be like, there's a legit case that you can say, well, Lamar will, I mean, that was just one time he'll come back, but bro, we're 7 years later. Right. So, you know, how many times you going to say that? I still think that Lamar is a great quarterback, but how long you going to say that? Like, if I was a Raven fan, I'd be feeling a little funny because your team is not going to be better than the team last year. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that team was a super team to me. Like, they had the most Pro Bowlers, the most All-Pros, and now here we are. They lose, you know, the Patrick Queens of the world. They could dumb it down all they want. They lost the defensive coordinator, lost all that stuff. Anybody lose that amount of stuff, it's just impossible to come back and be the same team. Now, will they win a lot of games? Sure they will. You know, me and you, I talk to you all the time, and I tell you about the Ravens I've always thought of them as being like the bigger threat. But if they didn't win that game, and you had Mahomes, and it's probably the worst you'll ever see him. Remember that was a Chiefs team that only scored 21 points a game. Right. They had a really good defense, but you came in there with the Hall of Fame kicker, the number one running offense, top 5 offense, period. You had the number 1 defense, and you ain't closed the deal when all you scored was 10 points. I don't know, bro. Like, I didn't see Joe Burrow with the worst offensive line go there and kick the Chiefs' ass. No, so like, yeah. I mean, like, it would be one thing for me to be like, man, this is what I think, but this is what I've seen. So anybody that's denying what they've seen, like, that's the part where we start talking about delusion and stuff. So when you get on your AFC North show or whatever, those are the things that I'm sure that you can kind of remind them. It's like it's not that I'm projecting. I'm just telling you like what it is. They lost 16 entities to their team. The defensive coordinator, the secondary coach, the defensive line coach, lost their safety who was second in the NFL in interceptions. And where did he go? The Bengals. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you lost Patrick Quinn. You ask a lot of people. I don't know. That conversation to me is just crazy. But you know, the Madden stuff could be what it's going to be. NFL top 100. I understand where players are coming from when they talk about Lamar Jackson. I think there's a lot of players that grew up like me that see Lamar Jackson and say, damn, that's like somebody he's a cheat code. I went to high school with him. But the NFL is very different, bro. And the Joe Burrows of the world, I know they won't like it. It won't be fair, but he'll always have a Jamar Chase. He'll always have a Burton. He'll always have a T. Higgins. And he's always going to deliver the ball on time. And it ain't the sexiest brand of football, and I get that. And he isn't Lamar Jackson running around making mad highlights. But they're going to find out the hard way.
No, I agree, man. So with all that being said, Bengals fans, plus 160, go make them bets now. Bengals have a way easier schedule than the rest of this division when it comes to the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers. This might be potentially free money, especially if Joey B is back and ready. So definitely go to BetUS and place those bets. And shout out to BetUS again for keeping the lights on. We appreciate that. But right now, we're going to toss it to our other sponsor, Midwest Best Barbecue.
Wings and them CTBs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. It's the Ace to the Zim, M into the B's. Uno wings, Jeep on wings, and them CTBs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Say what up to Jordan Battle. We be going to battle. Intercepting balls like CTB did on Seattle. Putting 6 up on AZ. Juice gang amazing. Make sure you come get these wings. The Zimby stay blazing. And T-Game be smooth as ice. Jamal making DBs fold. TB got big levels. And now you already know. Hits are pretty for Uno wings. Cam got the new wings. We call them CTBs. Only at MBs. Nation to the Zim. M into the B's.
Make sure you guys visit Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. We just had Corey Dillon on the last show. Grab some of those Dillinator wings. Grab some of those Grippo wings. Get some of that beef brisket. If you like pork, get the shredded pork. You can get the ribs that Zim talked about last week. They got it all there. Macaroni and cheese. They even have ice cream as well. Nobody talks about the ice cream, but the ice cream is on point as well. You won't find anything wrong at Midwest Best Barbecue. So shout out to them. If I had to give a power ranking, Midwest is going to be number one. And speaking of power rankings, let's talk about where the Bengals are at. So looking at what we have thus far, Warren Sharp has the Bengals ranked 5th. You've got Fox having them ranked 7th. So sounds pretty good, right? And then I go to Yahoo and they have the Bengals ranked 13th. So obviously, like, to me, power rankings don't really mean much, right? But from what we've seen around the league, some people either feel like the Bengals are legit or some people feel like they're a middle of the pack team. So Warren Sharp, who does a lot of analysis, he feels like the Bengals are a real team. But looking at some of the teams that he has ahead of the Bengals, 49ers, Chiefs, Lions, Ravens, like, how do you feel about like these rankings in general, Zim? Because I get the Lions did their thing last year, but are they a bigger threat than the Bengals? I guess if you're going off of last year, you have to consider that. But what are your thoughts on some of these rankings?
I think their path, you like in the NFC side, I just think that they don't have to run into hardcore elite, the best quarterbacks too. Like, I'm taking the Lions over the Cowboys, the Packers, and any of them playoff scenarios. So, like, this is Super Bowl odds. Like, just like the Ravens, right? If they could get out on a lead on a team, which they didn't do in the playoffs when they played the Chiefs or whatever, they're like almost impossible to beat. But the thing is, when you get to the playoffs, it's like you're playing a quarterback 9 times out of 10 that's one of the best in the league, and I just think that the Lions don't have to do that. And the Bengals being 5th in the NFL, I think that's very fair. You know, like I'm a Bengals fan, my bias is real, but I'm not mad at the 5th. I'm not mad at all. I think that Warren Sharp recognizes like they've done some things, he's weighing Joe Burrow, I guess, heavy, right? Because like what are the things that people think that is going to hold the Bengals back? Is it still the offensive line?
I don't know. I guess they're assuming health or something like that. Like now there's this kind of crazy narrative, and you say all the time, like Joe Burrow's played like 40 or 50 games without an injury, but there's this kind of narrative out there that, oh, Joe Burrow can't stay healthy, and I just don't really buy stock in it.
I feel like I've never been a part of this. This is the honest truth. I never really, like Ravens fans always talked about Lamar. Like everybody thinks that Lamar is injury prone, and I never really cared because I didn't see him as a threat to me. Like in my mind, like I don't play it on the team or nothing like that, but just like subconsciously, I thought that they are a threat in the AFC North. But in terms of a Super Bowl, I just don't see them like that. So I never really cared that much. Right. But if we're being honest, he didn't finish 2 out of the last 3 seasons. Right. Like so those are the things that I'm just saying. It's like Burrow played 50 games straight. Like you could say he had an appendectomy and all these different things like that, but he played 50 games straight. Like, and I get the off-season stuff doesn't look perfect, whatever. Like we're looking at Herbert right now. He got plantar fasciitis. Ain't nobody saying not only did he not finish the season, but he's currently not practicing and he can't do anything because he got a foot thing that could be ongoing and keep on going. So when we talk about injury prone, I think that the threat of any quarterback being hurt is super, there and present because the quarterback position is the most susceptible to being hurt. Right. So you could be anybody and all it takes is, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that it has anything to do with Joe Burrow. I don't think that has anything to do with Lamar Jackson because even when Lamar got hurt, they haven't been running. They're like in the pocket, you know what I mean? So to me, it's just like he plays the most injury prone position. So if we just remove the whole injury thing, because to me, it's the same for everybody. You can't tell me that Joe Burrow is injury prone and then just disregard the fact that all these other quarterbacks. I mean, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes have been very, very healthy. But remember, Josh Allen had the messed up shoulder, and they used that as an excuse in 2022. They said that the torn whatever in his shoulder that was going on, they used that as an excuse. But then now later on, they're like, yeah, he don't get injured or whatever. Remember when Pat Mahomes hurt his ankle, it was, he did it on one leg. So, like, you know what I'm saying? At what point are you, like, what's the distinguishing point of being injury prone or, like, not? Is it that you're not playing games or whatever? I don't know. And so that little gray area to me is like, and don't forget, Pat Mahomes, that year before, Chad Henne had to finish the game out. Pat Mahomes ain't even finished the game.
Right. Against the Browns, anything is possible. That's crazy.
So when we talk about this injury prone stuff, like, bro, all these quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, all these dudes got hurt. Tua just a year ago, everybody was thinking like, bro, he might not even play in the NFL no more. Right. We're talking about like concussion. So we could do that. We could do that song and dance with all these quarterbacks. But when I remove all of that, everybody know that Joe Burrow is a top 3 quarterback. People that really know football know that he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. So I think Warren Sharps of the world are smart enough to recognize that. I think a Yahoo Sports person, whoever's there, is probably just going off of what just happened. And I think we're seeing a lot of that as Bengals fans is like, Joe Burrow didn't finish the season. They don't care about us playing the hardest schedule. They don't care about none of that stuff. They look at his numbers. They don't care that he was injured and he played through injury at the beginning of the season. They're just going over. So that's why the range is so crazy, like 5th and 13th. That's kind of wild. Like
Frank Schwab, y'all. So Frank Schwab of Yahoo Sports. Yes, I'm putting his name out there. He has the Bengals. He has 12 teams in front of the Bengals. Miami Dolphins, Philadelphia Eagles, which is kind of crazy. The Eagles are 11, considering they were a pretty good team last year. The New York Jets at 10. Green Bay Packers at 9. Houston Texans at 8. This guy got to be a Cleveland fan. He's got the Browns at 7, Bills, Cowboys, Ravens, 49ers, Lions, and Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to start the season, bro. I'm ready. I'm just ready to start the season. I ain't gonna lie to you because like it's just a lot of that stuff doesn't make sense. Like I get the Brown stuff. Me and you been looking at like all the the analytics on Deshaun Watson, bro. Like he's been trash.
He was
like, straight up.
He
been trash. Like I'm sorry. Like they could say, hey, we did all this without him. I don't know if you had him, would it make you any better? And then the number one thing that I ask any Browns fans is, did Myles Garrett miss a game in the 20? When you go on AFC North, ask who when they start up that whole little, we did this without Deshaun or whatever. Ask them, who's your best player on your team? The answer gonna be Myles Garrett. Ask him, did he miss any games in the 23 season? He didn't miss not one. And when it was time to get to the playoffs, he was a no-show, and Larry Tunsil packed him and rolled him up and sent him back to Cleveland. So, like, when people use that context stuff, like, you're not in the same ballpark. Our best player wasn't there, and his name is Joe Burrow, and he's actually the quarterback of the team, and we still won 9 games. Like, that's
the crazy. And the metric you're talking about is Deshaun Watson leads the NFL for inaccurate passes that end up in incompletions, and that's the guy that you gave $200 million for. Like, every metric that we saw for bad quarterback play, Deshaun Watson was near the top. He was top 5. Lamar Jackson was in there too, but that's another conversation. I know Ravens fans, your feathers will be a little ruffled, but he wasn't too far behind either in the MVP season.
You know, the crazy thing is, during the regular season, I've been thinking about this. Derrick Henry, if he's healthy, he's gonna be a problem. Because think about it, they've been having bums just run. Like they've been having. Justin Hill is not a bum. He runs really hard. Mm-hmm. But they've been having guys like even before then, like whether it was Deontay Foreman or whatever, they've been having guys like that just run for 4 yards of carry. So
Gus Edwards to me was just a guy.
He's mid.
Right.
So now that they got Derrick Henry, but the difference is to me is if I score 7-10 points on you early, are you still trying to run the football like in a playoffs?
In the playoffs, yeah.
Like the regular season, like yes. Nobody wants to tackle Derrick Henry week 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm with you. 100% I'm with you. In the playoffs, all that out the window. We bombing on you. We throwing the football all around. It could be CJ Stroud. It could be whoever, whatever, Patrick Mahomes, whatever. Josh Allen, they are throwing the football. You're not about to sit there and then think that you're about to run the football in 2024. The game has changed, and that to me is the difference. And from the wide receiver position, they didn't do anything. It's the same people. They added one guy, Devontae Walker, who wanted to be a Bengal. You saw his quote. He was sick that he wasn't a Bengal.
He wasn't a Bengal. No,
sorry.
For sure. As we wrap up here, last topic we got to talk about. Brandon Aiyuk has been linked to the Steelers. To me, that doesn't move the needle much. What are your thoughts on him being linked to the Steelers? Are you worried about him going there? What does it do? Because I feel like if they got Russell Wilson throwing him the ball, like, yeah, he makes their receiving core better. Him and Pickens together is nasty, but I just feel like if you don't have the right quarterback, seeing how frustrated guys have been playing with Russell Wilson and seeing how inaccurate Justin Fields has been at times and nobody wanting to give up anything for a former first rounder. They gave up a 6th-round pick for him. Right. And from what I've seen, a lot of people said that that's because on film, a lot of GMs didn't see a good quarterback. Right. Does this move the needle for them if they get Aiyuk?
No. Yes, it does. It does for me. Mm-hmm. Because right now, Roman Wilson, who they drafted, I think in the 3rd round, somebody correct me in the comments.
I think it's the 3rd round.
Okay.
It's either 2nd or 3rd.
He hurt his ankle. So right now, the scouting reporters double team George Pickens. Like I told you this many times. If George Pickens was a Bengal, I would be a savage on his app. I think everything about George Pickens, even Glorilla showing up, giving him water at the practice the other day or whatever, like I'm all about that type of stuff. Like just straight up drip, swag, all that stuff like that. I think that carries over to a football field. And people could say they hate George Pickens, but he is a dog. But the difference is with him and the Bills is the scouting report is Keon Coleman, George Pickens, I'm double teaming you. And I'm going to take my one-on-one with all them other bums that we don't even know. Like the Bills got Curtis Samuel. Like the Steelers' second wide receiver is Van Jefferson. You think that I'm about to go into a game and let Van Jefferson dictate anything I'm under? So if you add Aiyuk to that now, George Pickens humbled me a couple times. Bro had 4 catches for 200 yards, and I get it. Cantaloupe Britt was not there, but bro is serious. I'm sorry. Like, I've talked a lot of trash about the North on this whole show, like the Browns, and I've been going in on the Ravens like periodically on this whole show. But you won't get no negative nothing from me on George Pickens. Bro.
Does it make them better than the Browns, Ravens, or Bengals?
No. But you know what it does for the Steelers? It does what the Browns and the Steelers want. They don't have their GMs might think about a Super Bowl, but they don't have any realistic shot at a Super Bowl. Those two teams. But the thing that they're out, and this is what happened to us in 2021, and everybody got to pay attention to this. There are a lot of teams that do not care about a Super Bowl, and the reason why I'm going to tell you why they don't, because they come and talk to us in the comments, and they talk trash to us about, we locked down Jamar Chase. You didn't have it. I'm like, what does that have to do with winning? Y'all what was your playoffs, whatever? There are teams that are just sick of the Bengals winning the AFC North. And the Steelers will give up a left kidney. They will give up a right testicle to make sure that the Bengals do not win the AFC North. And I say that to say that they will go out there and Minkah Fitzpatrick's of the world that take out Nick Chubb's leg. They will do the same thing. They will die to try to make sure that the Bengals don't win the AFC North, and that is more important than actually winning a Super Bowl for them. They'll tell you that they're trying to win a Super Bowl, but come on, bro. You think Russell Wilson or Justin Fields in a playoff situation is about to cook anybody in the AFC?
No.
Like, let's be real, bro. Like, let's be real. And at the same time, I get it. They won 6 championships. That's a whole nother conversation. We're six Super Bowls. But at the same time, we're in 2024. You don't have a roster. You don't have a team good enough to win a Super Bowl. And so your current aspirations are making it to the playoffs, telling people that you're a legit threat, and then beating the Bengals because you're so tired of Bengals fans telling you that they won the North and they went to a Super Bowl. And that's really what you're here for. You don't think that you're winning a Super Bowl with Justin Fields or what you call it. But Brandon Aiyuk to the world do give them the leg up to say, we're not going to get swept, and we damn sure are going to get rich or die trying. We're going to split with the Bengals and the Ravens, and we will not be and they just don't want to be stepped on, and that's all it is for them. And I think Aiyuk represents that. I think the Steelers don't pay people like that. I do think that they could trade for him because they did it with Minkah. They'll give up a first to get an Aiyuk. If I'm the 49ers, I'm telling them kick rocks like a first. If I got Aiyuk right now, I think I have a chance to win a Super Bowl, even if it's just for 1 year. That's what we're doing with T. Higgins right now. Right. That's what the Browns are doing with Amari. It's like, I think that I could do something in this 1 year. And a first-round pick for a next year just doesn't move me. Like,
doesn't make sense, especially with the 49ers, like you said, just coming off of a Super Bowl appearance.
Right.
The Steelers, I mean, the standards have fallen in Pittsburgh.
Bro, they're not going to tell you that, but that's what it is, bro. I'm sorry. Like, come on, bro. Like I was saying that to the space the other day. They was like, every team has aspirations of winning a Super Bowl. I'm like, their front office doesn't.
Not at all. Nah, I agree. But a team with aspirations of winning is your Cincinnati Bengals. And make sure you guys are booking these unforgettable trips to Nashville, Kansas City, Charlotte, Los Angeles, and Dallas. All-inclusive packages that include airfare, hotel, game tickets, tailgating, and more. You can book today at fansofcincy.com, and you can do it for as little as a deposit of $200. You can also find them on Twitter. They'll be able to answer any kind of questions that you need. But as you can see, tailgate tickets only are also available. You're going to get local foods. You're going to get everything that you need, whether it's transportation to the game, all of that. Fans of Cincy has you handled. You guys don't want to miss it out. So make sure you tap in with them at fansofcincy.com. So shout out to them for also sponsoring the Wincinnati podcast. Once again, you can find them at fansofcincy.com. As you guys know, this is the Wincinnati podcast. You guys can find us every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be live. This recording actually isn't live because I have some prior engagements, but you guys will catch us live every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Zim, was there anything that you wanted to say before we get out of here?
I'm good to go. I feel really good about it. Joe Burrow was cooking at practice. We're looking real good. I'm getting excited about the preseason. So later on this week, we're going to give you a little preview of the preseason game coming up. And it looked like the defense actually had some good plays later or later in the day or whatever. DJ Turner made some plays. I saw Miles Murphy and run defense making some really good plays. There's a lot of good stuff out there. So we'll get on some of that. Cam Sample was another one. Shout out to our guy Malik. Said that he was on the rehab field. It's kind of conflicted, but he was out there. He wasn't in a scooter from what I've heard. He wasn't in there with like any extensive thing from what I've heard. I haven't seen video. And I'm so surprised that none of the beat writers or anybody like that has shown like pictures of that. Like, I want to see that, but I just want to see, because I thought the Cam Sample injury was like season ending. Right, so him standing out there is a win. So as of right now, we're recording this. It looks like it's in good favor. We got to keep our eye on the Trent Brown one. Also, Jermaine Burton is back out at practice. He was out there with the twos. So I'm really excited about all of this stuff. So let's get it. That's all I got to say. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Let's go. So make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, check the link in the description for BetUS. Also, make sure that you guys tap in with us and follow us on Twitter at Wincinnati Pod, at Zim Hude, and at New Stripe City. This has been the Wincinnati Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in.